toward parts of the region. You do see right now severe thunderstorm warning in play until 8:30 a.m. toward areas of Calhoun, Franklin, Gulf, Liberty, and Wakulla. In our area, that's Franklin as well there as Liberty and Wakulla. So let me go ahead and make this full right now. In fact, we'll go ahead and take our wall shot right now of the DR level 3 computer so you guys know what's going on here. You can see severe thunderstorm warning around Wilma, Sumatra there. So we're going to continue to be watching things very carefully. See even some rotation here in western Liberty County, so we could get a tornado warning issued at some point. So I definitely want to kind of be watching what's happening here because we don't want something to kind of catch us off guard as we're looking toward parts of southern Liberty County this morning. Again, severe thunderstorm warning and play until 8:30. So 60-mile-an-hour winds definitely a possibility. This warning here in play for areas like Wilma, even over close towards Smith Creek, and we'll be getting more into toward Wakulla County later on. Just a small sliver included right now, so definitely we'll continue to watch the progress of this storm. It's moving off toward the east at 35 miles an hour, so we'll have to be kind of seeing how things do move here further on off. I know we'll go ahead and switch on over to a different mode right now here, and we do have a tornado watch in play. I'll go ahead and give you guys that whole area view. In fact, I know there's a lot going on here this morning, and we'll kind of be able to see what's happening here with this watch box in play until 1 o'clock, and just outside of the area there's a tornado warning, getting even further out of our area at this point, but a tornado warning for Macon County in Georgia, long-lived storm that we were tracking that just skirted just north of our viewing area. So that's something to kind of be mindful of as we're watching things there in toward parts of central Georgia this morning. But right now, the reason we're on is it's a thunderstorm warning in play here until about 8:30 for parts of Franklin as well as Liberty and Wakulla in our area. That damaging wind potential here, the most prominent, though there is a chance of a quick spin-up tornado in here as well, and if that threat does increase, a tornado warning would have to be issued. You see some broad rotation right now, but we'll go ahead and broaden the view back out. And as we do so, you can kind of see a lot of the other accent not as robust, not as well defined, but as we go into the outlook, this just got updated here in the last few minutes since our last update here. That was in the 7 o'clock hour where we had the slight risk, not including areas of north central Florida as much necessarily, but now Bradford County under that for that threat of those damaging winds later on. There's a chance maybe even now into toward the overnight area hours here, parts of the area could see something kind of evolve as you see the tornado threat a little more confined still to the north, but even a small one now included for parts of north central Florida and the first coast. So we're going to continue to watch things very carefully here. I'll stay on here probably about 8:30, and we'll just kind of see if they extend this warning or not, or obviously if it goes to a tornado warning, then we'll have to ramp up our coverage there at that point. But we are in our covered area right now with this, and okay, they are now going with a tornado warning for Liberty County until 9 o'clock at 8:20. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles east of Stonemill Creek or 22 miles south of Bluntstown, moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. So definitely want to be mindful of this now with a tornado warning here in play. Let's see, you want to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible here in Liberty County here this morning. I just go ahead and take those tornado precautions, a tornado warning now in our area. As you see this moving toward areas like Wilma here, I'll go ahead and get into those tornado safe areas that we talk about all the time here at Cloud Weather. A tornado warning now. And boy, I know on all the different platforms we're having a little glitch here with YouTube, but it looks like we're now on YouTube as well, so that's definitely some good news here. But we are providing you the latest information here this morning now with a tornado warning in play until 9 a.m. A possible tornado moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. We'll go ahead and see our storm relative velocity mode here in just one moment. I know we're using a little bit different views. Tell me in the double box, trying some different things here. And now we do have a tornado warning in play until 9 o'clock. So I'm going to be watching this here move eventually maybe further on up toward areas of eastern Liberty and then northern Wakulla, maybe clipping southern Leon here as well, depending on the exact movement of the circulation. So you can kind of see here what we're talking about with this movement. You can kind of track that on out. Definitely could end up getting into toward parts of southern Leon County later on here this morning. So we're going to continue to watch the situation very carefully here. We're going to take a quick break here in the coverage with this tornado warning in play now. I'll go ahead and be in front of the wall here in just a moment to continue more of this severe weather coverage.
This is a clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center. It's 8:25 on this Wednesday morning. A tornado warning in play here for areas there around Woma. So you want to go ahead and take those tornado precautions right now. We've seen maybe an increase in that rotation on some of the other modes of the Doppler radar. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some different things up right now. We'll kind of give you guys an idea of what's going on here as things kind of moving in maybe a little bit quicker than we were anticipating. Overall, you can see here the brighter reds with that wind going away from the Tallahassee radar. That's apparent. Maybe even if we don't have a tornado here, we could have some stronger winds reaching the surface. And even though when you look in our base velocity mode north of Sumatra there, you can see some of the brighter greens. So that's kind of interesting to see. Could have some stronger wind here overall. Maybe a developing circulation, and that's why a tornado warning is here in play. It's moving with this radar indicated rotation off toward the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. Right now, the reason we jumped on initially was the thunderstorm warning that goes to 8:30 with a tornado possible tag in it, but now an actual tornado warning where things are more there of a threat to life and property. It is in play now for areas there around Woma. So you want to go ahead and take those tornado precautions here this morning again. Let's go ahead and look at correlation coefficient and see if we have any type of debris signature. And we don't have that right now, but you can kind of see how things are trying to come together here this morning in the Florida Panhandle, moving in toward the Florida Big Bend. This was that accident we were tracking. I was trying to move on into the picture, and you can kind of see how that's tracking here. As we got an update on the storm, that's way out of our area there in toward central Georgia, but still severe thunderstorm type situation up there toward areas there around Marion County, Georgia, but that's nothing to concern ourselves with. So that's the good news. We see the lightning though in our area You can kind of see here a little bit of that green showing up here with the winds going toward that Doppler radar in Tallahassee. You can maybe see a little more gate to get a minute ago, but still have some stronger wind in here, if nothing else, around Wilma. And then again, we do have kind of some of that wind showing up toward the south as well. So again, let's go ahead and see now some of those tornado precautions here as we're having to kick things off. And we haven't had that much to really covered all year, so a little bit kind of unaccustomed to doing this here over the last couple months, but looks like that's going to change here over the next few days, kind of making up for lost time and appears with that severe weather potential, unfortunately. So you want to make sure you charge up the devices in case of power loss. Have multiple ways to receive alerts in a tornado watch situation like what we have toward Tallahassee, toward Albany, toward Valdosta. But then a tornado warning actually means that a tornado has been detected using radar or spotted. So you want to seek shelter inside a sturdy building and get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And to protect yourself from flying debris, you want to put on a bicycle helmet. So those are very important tips here to use. If you're right now in Liberty County, we have a tornado warning, radar indicated rotation there at the present time. So you need to go ahead and get into shelter there immediately. You can kind of see here our circulation. I'll point this out for you guys if you're unaccustomed to looking at storm relative velocity here. You can kind of see our greens, our lighter greens. We have the reds here, the purples. Now, not the strongest circulation I've ever seen, but definitely something there toward, it looks like State Road 65. So definitely going to continue to watch this here as it moves on off toward the north and east here. Again, a possible tornado. It's a pretty rural area, but still, we want you guys to take those tornado precautions here in this vicinity right now. Again, we have this in play until 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I know right on that Eastern Central Time line there per se, but moving to the Eastern Time zone, it looks like it's going to be a very busy day here for us in the weather centers. We were just showing you guys a minute ago with that slight risk there in play. It looks like going to be multiple rounds today. Then we have multiple rounds here just through the rest of the week as well with severe weather potential. Several inches of rain expected. I mean, we're talking 3 to 5 inches of rain over a wide area. I'll go ahead and pull up our graphic here that we had last night. Not too much has really changed with this. You can kind of see here this March deluge is really coming into focus right now. I know we had an inch and a half or so at Jacksonville International Airport even last night, but 3 to 5 inches of rain here in play. For many areas, it looks like with isolated spots getting even more. So you got to be aware here of what can happen with some urban and small stream flooding even. That's definitely a possibility here, 2 to 4 inches of rain toward Palm Coast. So going to be watching the situation carefully down there in Flagler County. But right now, that's going to be something that we're paying attention to. I know toward St. Johns County with the Players Golf Tournament, inclement weather is going to play a role. But right now we have a tornado warning for parts of Liberty County here with the red on radar, with the greens here, that potential tornadic circulation in play. So we're going to keep watching this here. I know we're at the bottom of the hour. I see they're saying in Jacksonville they're postponing that weather radio test with all the active weather. Even tornado watch toward Hamilton County right now. So just stay tuned. We're going to gather more details back here in just a couple minutes. And it's a very active situation here on this Wednesday morning.
This is a clouds weather alert.
Back here in the Weather Center a little bit after 8:30 right now, you can see here that tornado warning in play around Wilma. That does continue until about 9 a.m. You kind of see a little bit there of a vortex maybe if you kind of just look at this closely here toward Liberty County. And you can kind of see how that broad rotation right now, maybe not as tight as it could be though, which is definitely some good news. So maybe they'll drop this tornado warning here pretty soon if we don't see any type of intensification with this. And it is in a broader line pattern versus what we saw in Jackson County and just outside of our area where we had a more organized supercell before it kind of faded away there. We actually had a tornado touchdown with that. We had another tornado touchdown in parts of Alabama, moving into southwestern Georgia, this outside of our area toward Stewart County. This is the first warning for tornado potential really in our area today. We did have a Thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag in it, but now just focusing on the tornado warning polygon here for parts of Liberty County. You see that Thunderstorm warning no longer on the board even, but a tornado threat here in Liberty County on this Wednesday morning. You want to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible here. If you're around Wilma, I know things look pretty bright right now, so hopefully if that trend continues, they'll go ahead and drop this tornado warning. But we do have this threat right now here, and if you're wondering, in Tallahassee, we do see here some rain kind of starting to edge on in, and in fact, we can go ahead and pull up one of the traffic cameras there toward Tallahassee, that FSU area. This Florida 511 view right now. I know folks may be getting ready for some exam, things like that. You can kind of see what's happening here right now. Things do look a little bit wet out there at FSU this morning, my alma mater, so definitely something to kind of be mindful of here for sure. The road's going to get even slicker now. This rainfall amount's going to go up here as the day goes on, and maybe you're watching from other areas, and we have some rain in some other spots as well. So let's go ahead and kind of give you guys a radar tour now, and I know we're getting some new information here in the chat session. So let me go ahead and move away from our camera for now. We'll go ahead and mention that there's been damage to windows and cars at a fire station a mile east of Callaway there in Bay County. So maybe some type of wind damage, it looks like, in the Wardow region. It just had, of course, all that wildfire situation there that's been evolving. We've seen that over the last few days, and now actually getting some wind damage. I don't think we had really any type of warning for that area, though, looking back. So maybe something's been up on us. The radar down right now at that area there. As we look toward the west, you can kind of see here that radar down at Eglin right now. So that's something that might be precluding us from getting a good look at some of this action. But we do have a little bit better look on the Tallahassee radar at this point as we're looking off toward Liberty County. We do have a possible tornado here in play. I know you can kind of see here that circulation looks pretty broad, so they may drop this warning here pretty soon. That'd be great news. We're looking about only 3,000 feet up, and it doesn't look well organized at all here as we kind of go up a little bit in scale and height. You can kind of see here things do show some wind energy, but not necessarily a tornado threat. But let's check for debris. You never know here. And we're not really seeing anything dropping out like we've seen. We've had a bunch of debris signatures here today. One toward Mobile County, the one there in Alabama moving into Georgia. Another one popped up that we then had that debris signature there. Maybe in toward Jackson County. If nothing else, we did have a confirmed tornado there, though. A video on social media showing that. So definitely an active morning here off toward the west, but in our area we haven't had necessarily any damage reports coming in yet. That could change, but this storm right now doesn't look all that robust here, but it's our policy to stay with you here with a stream. But there's a tornado warning for parts of our area, and that's the case right now toward Liberty County. But we were talking about that rain here in other areas. Let's go ahead and broaden that view. I know we kind of get sidetracked sometimes when we're in severe weather coverage. There's a lot going on. Sometimes we don't operate on a lot of sleep here as things can kind of pop up on us pretty quickly. But here's just some light rain that's in progress here toward parts of Bradford County while we go toward Clay County north of Camp Landon there. You can see here east of Highland we have a little bit of moderate rain showing up here. Under that Jacksonville radar down for some work here the next couple weeks. So this is actually taking that view from the Moody Air Force Base radar site really. As you see some rain towards St. Mary's as well. Nothing severe with this. That's the good news there. But of course we do have a tornado warning in play off toward the west now. You can kind of see here maybe a little lightning toward the south popping up here east of Sumatra. Looking at some of the rotational areas, kind of interesting to see that popping up with the rotation tracker here. Some of that potential definitely in play here. Definitely a unique situation here. And that we just had those fires, Roy being a big story now, getting that rain though in this area. We'll go ahead and zoom back on out. You can kind of see some lightning too, which can be problematic, and of course some wind damage actually at fire stations in Bay County. It sounds like here in the chat session we're getting that information in over the last few minutes. But again, it's our policy to stay on when we have a tornado warning for any of our 62 counties. Provided that cover to keep everybody protected. So that's what we're doing here this morning, just to kind of give you guys a reminder of reviewing area. I mean, we're on for Quitman County, we're on for Gadsden, but we didn't actually have any warnings for those areas here so far today. Just outside of those areas, we had confirmed tornadoes, though, just outside of our covered area. But now Liberty County, which is in our covered area, there is a tornado warning in play. It looks like for another 21 minutes or so. So we'll continue to watch the situation very carefully here toward the Florida Big Bend, that Florida Panhandle here this morning, but things aren't all that tight looking. Let's see, I'm trying to think, Ross, do we want to go with this because we just don't have a lot here. I'm going to try a different radar source. Maybe there's something that we're missing. Sometimes radar scope shows us some things just a little bit better here, so we're going to try to pull that up here, and I'll pop that on the screen here once that loads on our system. I haven't had that up in a little while, so it may take me just a second to get that on up here. We didn't really stick, obviously, with our main radar views, but this can help us sometimes. Or maybe they're seeing something in the weather service that we're not seeing here, because there's just not a lot there. It doesn't look like. I mean, we have had a history, though, of tornadic producers here on this Wednesday morning. So let's go ahead and see that viewpoint now. We'll take radar scope full, and you'll be able to see there's not a whole bunch here, folks. I mean, you can see some very broad rotation. So that's the good news. A little bit of lightning around there, though, so we'll have to continue to watch those trends because those can sometimes be interesting trends. I do have it on our high radar reflectivity mode, meaning we're seeing all the different particles in the air here. I had this up actually for some of our winter weather a while back, trying to look for snow flurries. That's the reason we had that on. Sometimes you can kind of see those better, but we're going to be talking about snow flurries, maybe to award areas outside of our viewing area here later on. Maybe even some accumulating snow even toward areas like Tennessee as we look ahead, because the cold air method will eventually make its way in. But we have a lot of action with storms to get through first, so we'll continue to watch our different radar views. We'll go ahead and see here again, tornado warning does continue here. The latest information does have this warning there until 9 a.m. It's a pretty broad area here overall, included not a high population at all. But it's our policy to keep you safe here, even if you're in this area. We want to make sure that you, of course, are aware there. But if you're just outside of this area, maybe kind of get an idea of what's going on so you don't enter into this area, something to that effect. Definitely important, and this could eventually clip here areas of northwestern Wakulla, and then maybe southern Leon County, depending on how things hold together. As they are continuing this tornado warning, I know these don't have had a history of producing tornadoes, so the weather service not taking any chances there. In Tallahassee, just saw that polygon trim back at 8:41 a.m. It's a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 17 miles east of Stonemill Creek, or 21 miles southeast of Bluntstown, moving east at about 30 miles an hour, so a little more easterly component, meaning maybe more of an issue for Smith Creek and Crawfordville here versus maybe areas further up toward the north. Could still be an issue for an area like Woodville if it holds together, but again, we haven't seen a whole bunch here. I can always tighten up on us pretty quick. You just never know what can happen in these situations, so we'll continue to watch things very carefully. Let's go ahead and check some more cameras right now. Now you may be watching from the First Coast. You can see some of those darker clouds there as we look toward I-95 at Hendricks Avenue, but right now nothing in the way of severe weather toward the First Coast region. We'll now go ahead and switch on over here toward View International Golf Parkway there, I-95 at International Golf Parkway. So in this view, there's not too much happening right now toward the east, but we'll definitely continue to watch things carefully. You can see here over Santa Fe I-75 there, State Road 222, and then another shot toward Lake City. Now this area could get quite a bit of rain. Things looking pretty dry right now. That's the good news. We'll continue to watch things very carefully here in this situation. Definitely giving you guys that look outside so you know what's going on here this morning in the grand scheme of things, in the overall picture. I'm going to check some more things behind the scenes now here. I might take another break if we don't see anything at the moment because there's, again, not a lot here. I know, definitely going to be watching to see how power outages do mount here overall, but again, there's not much here, but they're keeping this warning. We have to go ahead and continue to respect that polygon here toward Liberty County, and since these storms do have a history of tornadic production, we have to be kind of careful here. You can see the rainfall history. We did have damage maybe in Bay County, and you can see 3-4 inches already out here, and this can be helping with the wildfire danger. I mean, toward Panama City proper, over 2 inches, so that's really helpful. And this is going to kind of come in here further off toward the east and the east northeast, really, and kind of bring areas like Wakulla County some more rainfall here this morning. I know definitely helpful here to try to bust this drought the best we can as we go ahead and see some action, maybe some reformation here toward Dothan. We'll just have to watch days early, days young, really, and we have a lot more potential for severe weather to go. We're going to be here to get you through it. Get a tornado warning in play till 9 o'clock right now, so another 16 minutes for Liberty County. So we have that rotation, I know. In terms of that rainfall potential, though, this is going to be the bigger story. These events that we've talked about here are going to be impacted, like the Players Golf Tournament and the Bradford County Fair. Also, of course, we have Gator Nationals. The rain is in the picture here, folks, and we're going to be having latest information as needed as we're on right now with a tornado warning for Liberty County, but you can go to cloudweather.com/radar Indiana, and when we're not on, to see where that rain is, get an idea of where it's moving. You can also look at model data there. Go to the home page of cloudweather.com and scroll down. A good look at some of that if you kind of toggle between some different things there. So that's helpful as well here. Definitely some easier methods to look at things. I mean, you can even toggle on the radar page for that matter, but still have it a little more preset there for some of that there on the home page. So again, I'm going to continue to watch things very carefully. Again, tornado warning of the 15 minutes here for Liberty County. You want to go ahead and get inside away from windows here. If you're in this area, it's a very rural area. We're talking about several hundreds of people, really, versus several thousands in this area. So that's something to kind of bear in mind. It is not a lot here, but we're going to keep gathering more details and take another break here on our coverage and be back in about 2.5 minutes.
This is a clouds weather alert.
Back here once again at about 8:49 or so. We do have this tornado warning continuing for Liberty County. That radar indicated rotation still enough for the Weather Service to keep this warning into play. Haven't seen a whole bunch here though in the recent moments, but we'll go ahead and show you now the broad view. You see these temperatures here pretty warm, obviously unseasonably warm for this time of day, this time of year, and that's helping to fuel our severe weather potential. We have a lot of surface-based cape out there. As we see this view right now, that energy that we need for these storms, you see tornado parameters here are not as high necessarily, but you have enough up toward that Florida Panhandle values here closer to 1, and you have this red polygon, which indicates that tornado potential here right now for parts of Liberty County. As we look at rotation tracker, seeing that kind of on the edge of the polygon, but not well defined right now, so that's good news. And then outside of it, I do have some warnings here further up, but this is not interviewing area, but with their Ellaville, Roy, Montezuma, you can see how things are going up that way. But right now we do have a tornado warning, not as much lightning, which is another sign of some weakening with this. So maybe we'll catch a break for a while here, at least with this axe in our area. And the next batch, with some more lightning further off toward the south and west, and even some more in the Gulf of Mexico. And its parameters are favorable here for some severe weather to continue here and toward the afternoon, and maybe another round later on. And they were talking about it in the outlook here. They were saying that maybe they go ahead and kind of read things here as we kind of have a lot going on right now. They're saying a second round of strong, possibly severe thunderstorms may impact parts of southern Georgia, northern Florida overnight ahead of the front and generally after 3Z. And isolated damage and wind gusts will be the main concern, with a more conditional marginal tornado potential than what we're seeing right now, and there's a lot of uncertainty with that. So definitely interesting to be kind of getting an idea here of maybe more than one round here in this day of the outlook. Of course, we'll be watching for tomorrow, more than a rescue play, then a threat on Friday, more later on, and Saturday. That could be the biggest threat of them all. Here, so definitely gonna be watching the situation. And we haven't had any tornado warnings all year in the Jacksonville County warning area, and that's gonna change here as we do look ahead in toward the timeline. More than likely here at some point we'll see some of those coming into play toward the first coast, or at least one of the counties covered. I mean, they cover all the way out to Hamilton and in southeast Georgia. Likely somebody's gonna get under a tornado warning here, if not multiple communities here with multiple warnings being issued. So going to continue to watch things very carefully. Let's check that velocity once again. Not too impressed with this, and honestly, that circulation's on the edge of the polygon. They'll probably be dropping this pretty soon here. And then if they do drop this, we'll go ahead and wrap up our coverage. But of course, we are on all the different platforms like we've talked about. And then, of course, even cleverweather.com/radar. Mention that too, and you can get an interactive look at the radar when we're not on the air. Again, things are very broad in nature here, and they've just gone with a significant weather advisory for parts of Franklin here, as well as Wakulla and Liberty until 9:15. So at least for the time being, that kind of lets me know they're not going to extend this tornado warning unless something really ramps up here. And then that'll be some good news, but still remain weather aware, obviously. As we're watching some of these different areas, we'll definitely continue to watch things. There's a significant weather advisory probably going. You can kind of see how they're drawing out to the south a little. They're saying with this right now, maybe winds in excess of 40 miles an hour. They can knock down some tree limbs there and blow around some unsecured objects still. And they've just expired now, that tornado warning. That's the good news here. Tornado warning being expired now for Liberty County. I'll get the latest information here on what it says in the text in just a moment, but again, that's kind of the trend that we were on here with this going away. That's what we like to see, that warning going off our board now. So with that being said, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up the coverage now. For the time being, of course, we'll be on as necessary here through the day and for the next several days. This is a multi-round event, as we've emphasized here. Going to have big impacts here. Those high rain chances in the picture, and I know I'll go ahead and see that 7-day. We haven't shown you this here today. This is from last night. I haven't updated it or anything, but it's still valid here at this point. So let's go ahead and pop this up real quick. You can see here, strong and severe storms expected. Many outdoor events will likely be disrupted by weather. At time change Saturday night, and then cold air. I mean, a freeze here even. It looked like Sunday morning before we started to get back toward more average temperatures here for a little bit. You can see this rain chance is going up a little bit more here as we look ahead to maybe about Tuesday or so. But you can see here it's going to be busy next few days. We're going to get through it here in the Weather Center together. So just stick with me here on all the different platforms. But for now, thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me.